Hello dear students. Today I'm here to discuss on one of the process prescribed for BA course subject ability enhancement compulsory course English under Karnataka University, Harvard. And the prose is the Canker of Untruth. In fact, it is a first part's 19th chapter in Gandhi's Mahatma Gandhi's autobiography, the story of my experiments with truth. Gandhi is known to all of us as a freedom fighter and non-violent figure and father of nation. Of course, there are some debate has been taking place. Why Natharam Godse has killed Gandhi, this that, and keep aside all those facts and we need to concentrate on one thing: Gandhi as the greatest personality, and how can we receive him and his life as a role model to all of us. um, you know Gandhi's autobiography, of course many great writers has written their autobiographies. Gandhi's autobiography seems very significant to read because he recorded every facts and figures what he experienced in his life, and more than that what he did, and he tries to confess for the mistake what he has done in his life. And once he came to know that he has done something wrong, and he started repenting for that, and he wanted to, of course we cannot recorrect, but we can stop ourselves from doing it. So in India, Mahatma Gandhi's autobiography is seen as a Western preoccupation. Because autobiography writing is not is done by those in West, not in the East. During free independent time, writing the autobiography was part of literature in the West, not in the East. It was not a very popular form of writing. He tried it and succeeded. However, the work is a candid and humble account that illuminates the moral and spiritual side of an extraordinary leader like Gandhi. Gandhi's book is solidly rooted in historical context that spans period of 40 years of his life in India. He started recording all the facts and figures from 1870s to 1920s. After that, we all know that Gandhi much involved himself into the freedom fighting movement and this that. Till 1920s, he recorded almost all the significant facts and figures of his life, without, however, being bound by such specificity. This is because it is not a simple chronicle, but a quest for ways of attaining absolute truth. As I told you at the beginning itself, he tries to find out the absolute truth in the life, interviewing details of his life, historical and political incidents, and his personal philosophy of conduct. And Gandhi is able to present different planes of experience. In that regard, he looks as a very unique figure. Gandhi, of course, exploits his eclectic reading, Bhagavad Gita, and he read Quran, and even he read almost all the the noble the works, Bible, holy books, almost all the holy books of all the religions he read, and works by Sir Edwin Arnold, John Ruskin, Tolstoy, many great writers' work he read in order to develop his own approach to solving social, political, and moral problems, particularly those issuing from imperial colonialism, the Indian caste system, and humanity's own disposition toward corruption. However, Gandhi's tone is never pompous, aggressive, or very rigid kind of. The story of his life is narrated dispassionately, for he wants to appeal to youth as well as to adults. His intention was very clear. He is, of course, not a very passionate writer, but he just wanted to record everything and put in front of all the youths, including the elders, that once we do the mistake and once we came to know that we should not do it, we should not repeat it. And he just wanted to keep it as a record in front of all the youths. In the introduction itself, Gandhi acknowledges that the truth purpose of his autobiography is self-realization in order to attain moksha. Moksha means freedom from birth and death. The Hindu version of salvation. This is what moksha. Until and unless we get the moksha, and we never, have a peace to our soul even after the death, and we, wander in this worldly life, becoming a ghost, and such kind of beliefs we have. Of course, Gandhi too. Accordingly, although he chronicles his social and political ventures, he tends to view them in spiritual or moral terms that are subjective but absolutely correct, for as he asserts, he would not base actions on his beliefs if these were not convincingly justified to himself. The first part goes the search of absolute truth. His quest for absolute truth begins with personal truth. Of course, for even teenager, he submitted himself to an examination of conscience and scrupulous self-critic that refused to sanction any phrenized novelty of custom or direction in life, such as eating of meat or imitations of Western practices. That all you can find out in the Canker of in some of the chapters, the beginning part. Of course, Gandhi's philosophy is essentially religious, not in dogmatic sense, but rather in that it is a system of thought based on the idea of self-realization or knowledge of the self. His reading of Ramayana and Bhagavad Gita evokes his religious fervor, but his early exposure to all the branches of Hinduism and its sister religions like Jainism or Buddhism, as well as Christianity, Islam, Jerusalem, give him a grounding in tolerance. He seems that all religions are paths to God or absolute truth. But when he reads Manusmriti, he is very much impressed by its view that morality is the basis of things, and the truth is absolutely of morality. And then he talks on self-control and early influences, what he had in his life, by reading of many great writers, classical works, and he gained knowledge, and that he wanted to self realized himself and sacrifice the services. And these are all the dimensions he brought into his autobiography, and it is the whole autobiography is divided into 5 parts and with some chapters in that. And this particular prose, the Canker of Untruth, is prescribed as a syllabus for you as one of the proses. Of course, it is not the whole autobiography, but it is in the first part of the autobiography. In the 19th chapter, it is written, the Canker of Untruth, and how Gandhi, let me, in brief, let me tell you where exactly he had this kind of experience in his life, and how did he try to bring it in the form of writing. Gandhi, of course, as we all know, that he is not born and brought up in a poor family. He was not having any kind of experience of poverty. Uh, he had been to England to pursue his studies in law. At that time, Gandhi was already married man and had a baby of 1 year. Of course, the question arises here, ma'am, during his studies, means it's a very small age for him, and it like in a child marriage. Of course, how could it be possible? And you should not study this particular point in the context of the present era. You should go back to the history and keep yourself in that society of India where the child marriage was accepted, and it was a part and partial of this society and the life. And almost even if you read Ambedkar, and he also got married in a very small age, and even almost all the the great personalities, marriage, of course, was not having an age bond as we have today, according to the constitution. At that time, it was not so much restricted, and the child marriage was very common to them. And Gandhi got married and had a child, but it was it was the era of Britishers' rule in India. Many scholars, to pursue their higher education, it was very common to take a voyage to England and be there in the universities and study and complete their studies and come back and start working in India. It was very common at that time, and who are very potential economically and psychologically and spiritually, with the great knowledge, and they used to go to England for pursuing their higher studies. And Gandhi too went to England, and when he went to England, and he saw one very common thing, that is, many young youths, young men who had been to England to pursue their studies. Almost 99% of them were married. But when Gandhi went and saw almost all the Indians, he was really shocked and surprised, because they never revealed the fact that they already married, and some of them, of course, they had the children also. They did not reveal that fact. And besides, they were having a kind of very close relationship with young girls in England, native England. And this seems very strange and very shocking to Gandhi initially. And later, some of his friends, of course, in the young age, they tempt to do such kind of things, having a kind of relationship with a girl, or having a dating, or spending the time with the young girls of their same mindset and everything. Such things goes in the mind of almost every youngsters. And Gandhi even is not an exceptional. And even his friends or seniors in England, they told and you should be very, you should convert yourself, or and be like in a Western, otherwise they won't accept you. And if you did not accept, you are not accepted in this society, it is very difficult for you to lead the life here. It might be with respect to the food, and of course in some other chapters he talked about his vegetarianism, and how he was struggling in all the days due to this food and restaurant, and beyond all that, and how he remained as a vegetarian. That's one of the interesting things. You can, I don't want to go that side, because I need to concentrate on this particular point here. And Gandhi, of course, is not as exceptional figure as I told you. And even Gandhi did not tell to anybody, as he married, and even he had a child. And he slowly turning himself in Ventnor, it's a place, and he met one of the landlady, and she had a daughter, young daughter of around 18 years or something, and no, sorry, 25 years old daughter she has. You might be very strange, and Gandhi, the same age, and he already got married in India and had a child, and being a man. But in England, after completion of their education only, they were getting married, and they have a very strong belief that marriage during the studies, or before the completion of the education, and creates this disturbance. They don't want to go for the marriage, and they have so free enough to decide, especially the girls and boys, they are free enough to choose their own way of life, and lead however they wish. No parents has the right to force them to get go into the marriage and everything. And this landlady has 25 years of old girl, and Gandhi, of course, much influenced by all the young men of India, how were they behaving, and how they were passing the time and spending the time with all the very smart and beautiful young girls, hiding the fact that they already married. And he thought that why can't I do the same thing? And a kind of thought arises in his mind, and he decided, let me hide this fact. And when this landlady's daughter offers him to have a dating, and even Gandhi accepted, and he went to the high hills, and you can come across how Gandhi tries to be very smart enough to adopt such a kind of Western culture, and lead the life as they are been doing, leading, hiding this fact, what he was in India. But his I think his shy nature, or conscience, it is not allowing him to do the mistake, or to cross his boundaries, and have a kind of very deep relationship with that young girl. I think it's all because of in what culture he born and brought up, and in what the customs and traditions he brought up, and what the knowledge this religion has given it to him. He stopped himself, of course, and on the other hand, you can come across one of the very significant things, a small narration regarding his vegetarianism. When Gandhi went for the first time England, and he was in search of the vegetable restaurants. And he was so hungry, he went to one of the restaurants, and the menu is given to Gandhi by the waiter. Gandhi, gone turning the pages, but he was unable to give the orders, and he kept quiet, and he was feeling like nervous. He was so hungry, but I am unable to give the orders, and he looks very worried. And beside, in the next table, there was a old lady, and she was just observing Gandhi. Of course, they are the strangers, and she feels that he is in the confusion, or he is not comfortable. Might be he needs some help and looks stranger, because of course in the gesture itself they can identify they are not the native people, and even with the gestures they identify easily they belong to India or some other east part of the country. And she went to him, and she asked what favor he needs. And then Gandhi told in English, and I am unable to read the menu due to it is completely in a French. I could not read French, and my problem is I'm purely a vegetarian man. I can't eat any non-veg item. But in this menu, how can I find out which item is vegetarian and which item is non-vegetarian? And then she helped him, and she feels very happy because of this kind of humbleness which Gandhi had. And she told, you can be in touch with me, and you can whenever you get the free time, you can come to my town, and you can visit to my home, and if you feel free to ask any kind of favor. And this is how a kind of bondage, friendship bondage has built between that old lady and Gandhi, and that old lady's daughter, that 25 years old girl. And Gandhi on every weekends used to go to that lady's home, and music, ball means a group dance, a kind of party. In that party, girls and boys, they dance together, and there's no restrictions at all. To whoever wish, they can dance, and it is of course a part of their culture. And even Gandhi, very interesting fact is, Gandhi wished to turn himself as a Western man, and he tries days and nights together for that. And even he spent a lot of money on his change of hairstyle, and he went to the big shopping mall and purchased the waistcoat and hat, which is a very typical appearance or the dress code of a Western man in England. And he always holds the stick in his hand. That is a kind of a very modestic the appearance that he wanted to show it. And slowly even he admitted to the music class, piano class, and even he admitted to the dance class, that to Western dance class. He deliberately wished to learn to all these arts or the skills, just because he wanted to be a very typical Western man. That's his intention. And that he for everything he has to pay, and even he gets ready to pay also. And as I told at the beginning, Gandhi is not a very poor man, and he can enough money with him, he can spend on that. And blindly he's spending the money because of the only intention, as I told you, to become a Western man. And that lady day by day she has been observing Gandhi's movements, and she is much impressed by him. And even her daughter also wishes to continue her relationship with Gandhi. And one fine day, Gandhi, came to, and even he was feeling very happy in the company of those. Internally, his conscience tells him that you are doing a great wrong, but externally, he want to be like that deliberately. And one fine day, he started thinking that I'm doing a mistake, this, that, and when that lady, expressing indirectly regarding the marriage of her daughter with Gandhi, and she indirectly started giving lot of clues on that, and Gandhi came to know what is the intention of this lady. And then he decides, let me stop this game. I don't want to move further in this kind of disguising status. And he decides, and he went back to his room and sat alone and started thinking, for what am I in England? And for what reason I came to this far away country? And what is my purpose in life? And what am I doing? Is there any connection between the purpose of mine and what am I doing today? And he started shrinking these two, and he finds a kind of dissatisfaction in that. And he decides, whatever I'm doing is totally wrong. I should not be like this. And this kind of transparency could be possible through his reading of some of the books, while he want to be a good debater, or debate clubs and everything he wanted to join. And then he decides, he wrote a letter to a piano teacher, dance teacher, everyone, and he requested, I don't want to continue with the class, and even the piano what I purchased, and please sell it for the better price. And he requested, and he sought out everything. Then he thought of, my purpose is to pursue my LLB degree with good score and with good knowledge, and let me go back to my country and serve with this knowledge. And this intention, with this intention he came, and in between he was much disturbed because of the heavy influence of the youngsters of India in England. And after this realization, and he thought of to write a letter to landlady, confessing himself what he hid from them, and the untruthfulness, what untruthful condition he was leading a life, everything. And he clearly wrote in the letter, I'm a man with one child, got married. I did not tell this truth to you people. And what and how this all happened, what made him to tell the untruth to them. And he repented for it and confessed. And he I think you never excuse me, this, that. And he wrote in that letter and posted. And in the last part of this chapter, and a lady received the letter, and with her daughter she read the whole content. And instead of getting angry on Gandhi, it's very strange, and she laughed at the words which he flowed in the letter, and replied to the letter. And even she wrote one letter to Gandhi, and she began her letter. And seriously, we started laughing at the content of your letter. and at the same time we feel very proud of you, because you revealed the truth. You did not hide anything, and still you are most welcome to our home, and let be the good friends forever. And such kind of reply from that lady pleased his mind, and he completely relaxed. Until then, he couldn't concentrate on his studies, because whenever he thought of to concentrating on the studies, and his untruthfulness and his cheating kind of nature to that lady who is really good at heart, and these are all the things occurs in his mind, and that consciousness always tells him that you are untruthful person, and you are liar, and you cheated the people, and such kind of the flowing of thoughts in his inner consciousness, not allowing him to have a sound sleep at night, and not allowing him to have the concentration on the studies. And when he revealed all the truths which is hidden in his heart, and he feel very relaxed, and he can concentrate on the studies, and he, as the goal of Gandhi, he achieved and came back. And we know further part of his life. I don't want to discuss on that, because it takes a lot of time. Yes, through this chapter, how this chapter, how reading autobiography of any great personality helps us to mold our personality, and helps us to make a person a better person, or help us to lead a contented, truthful, peaceful life. And this particular the chapter, the Canker of Untruthfulness, and when we tell any lie to our parents, or to lie to our teachers, or lie to our close friends, though at that moment we feel very happy, and we feel very succeeded, or we feel very proud that, and how I cheated them, and see, and how profit I gain because of this untruthfulness or the lie. But when you are alone, and these all negative thoughts arises, and they start killing your they start spoiling your good mood in loneliness, and they always pinpoint at you, and you are the liar, you are the cheater, and you are the untruthful person, you cannot be happy, such kind of they throw the arrows on our mind and heart, and we ourselves are going to spoil our happy mood, and pleasant life, and peaceful life. Ultimately, if there is no peace, if there is no happiness in the life, I don't consider it as a life at all. No money and no worldly pleasure can give the happiness in front of the happiness of the heart, and peacefulness of the mind, and pleasure which we spread in our surrounding with the good intention. This is what we should understand in the context of this particular chapter prescribed for your syllabus. With these words, I conclude. Thank you so much.